G'day, welcome to Tenterfield Firearms. Just got I was going to say a quick video today, but it's not going to be quick because we've got a range of guns to talk about, and just action types is what we're going to be discussing today. As we know, there is 1,000,001 different ways to cycle a firearm and shoot off a round of ammunition, from the early days of black powder and cannons and all that sort of good stuff, right up to today's modern semi-automatic firearms. I'm just going to be talking about the usual type of firearms that Australian hunters and particularly New South Wales hunters will be coming across. So we won't be talking about revolving cylinder firearms and things like that, which we're not allowed to have in New South Wales. You can have them in Queensland and other stuff, but we're not going to get into moaning about gun laws too much. Maybe. Anyway, let's start off with probably the simplest type of modern firearm. These break action firearms. So a lot of your shotguns, single barrel shotguns, double barrel shotguns, triple barrel shotguns, drillings, all that sort of good stuff are what we call a break action firearm, in that they break open. These little Rossies are a great example. For the budget conscious hunter or farmer, these are great because you can basically get the one gun and you can have your rimfire rifle on it, like this one, and easily, just with a simple cheeky screw, swap it out, turn it into a shotgun, or you can throw on a centerfire rifle barrel and you've got yourself a centerfire rifle. And the awesome thing about the rifle barrels is that they come tapped from the factory, so you put a scope on the rifle barrel and happy times. That barrel, once you sight that scope in, stays sighted in. You swap out the 22 barrel for the centerfire rifle barrel for the shotgun. It's always going to be on point, and they're really cheap and cheerful to own. They're just a nice thing. I quite rate the Rossies, so I think they're a pretty cool thing. So break action firearms, they're pretty common, and look, they're an interesting way to get into the shooting sport, particularly if you're doing it on a budget, you're not that interested in guns. Moving along, probably the next most common type of firearm would be your humble bolt action. Not that this one's very humble. This is an SMLE, and we love them because, made here in Australia for the war effort. They're a cool thing. But bolt action rifles, we all know, basically cartridges fed in, the bolt's cocked, you fire it, pow, and then you're either lifting it up and cocking it, or as this one is, it's cock on closing. With this, bolt action rifles, generally they're loaded from a magazine. Some of the rimfire ones have a tubular magazine rather than a removable magazine, but most common is these removable type magazines, or a blind magazine on some hunting rifles. But they'll take 3 or 4 shots, 10 shots as in the case of this 303. But bolt action rifles, fairly common. Everybody knows generally how to use them. Here in New South Wales, we get to store them with the bolt in, which is really, really good. Over the border in Queensland, they have to remove the bolts for storage. I'm a big fan of leave the bolt in his home, that's where he lives. Other people like to remove them for transport and things like that. Up to you. I feel if you don't have to do it, why put another level of encumbrance on yourself? Moving along, let's talk pumps. So, as much as I said we weren't going to have a bitch and a moan about gun laws in this country, pump action shotguns are a Category C weapon. You can't have them generally on most hunters' licenses and so forth. Some farmers can get them and what have you, and some target shooters can, but a lot of hoops to jump through. But you can have a pump action rifle on your A&B thing, so a rimfire rifle like this one, or a centerfire pump action rifle. So you can have a pump action 308, pump action 223, but not a pump action shotgun. So gun laws, you gotta love them. This one here is a 22 Remington Special that I picked up at a show not long back with an octagonal barrel. It's just a cool thing. Came with the peep sight, which I really like. 22 Remington Special is basically the same as 22 Winchester rimfire, which is a fairly obsolete cartridge. It's like a slightly necked down or shortened 22 Magnum. So you can still buy them factory. CCI make them in 22 Winchester rimfire, which the 22 Remington Special will fire, and they're pretty good. They're got just about as much knockdown power as a 22 Magnum. I really rate these little pump guns. You can find these all over the gun shops. Every gun shop will have one. That being said, I do believe it's Rossi that are making a pump action rifle today in your rimfires. There's plenty of people making pump action centerfire rifles here in Australia, in fact. But Rossi make a pump action rimfire rifle that's new. It's got fibre optic sights and all that sort of thing, synthetic stock. Really nice little bit of kit. Moving along in terms of fast shooting. The new hotness these days is obviously straight pulls, particularly with shotguns, but also centerfire rifles. There's also button releases getting out onto the market now, which is they sort of eject themselves and you press a button here to pop a new round in. They're a good thing. Fast is all well and good as long as you're accurate. If you're not accurate, you can be as fast as you want. You're not hitting anything. All you're doing is throwing lead down range, which can be fun in itself. But when we're talking about hunting, accuracy counts. So with these straight pulls, look, they're reasonably fast. But as I say, you can be as fast as you want. If you're not accurate, you're not doing yourself or the game any favours. Moving along, we got a biathlon straight pull here. So this is an Izmash. They're made in Russia. I'm not sure if they're still being made, but there's plenty of other rimfires on the market with this sort of biathlon action or very similar. Browning T-bolts, for example, are a very similar sort of idea to this. Basically, they're just a cool way of cycling a rimfire. Not that much quicker than a bolt, but a little. They sort of bang, bang, bang. Yeah, but again, accuracy counts. This is my target rifle, although I tend to use an awful lot of this gun on bunnies lately. I don't seem to do too much target shooting these days, but it's a cool thing. We talked about pumps, we talked about brakes. Let's have a quick yarn about air rifles. Obviously, air rifles, you can spend as little or as much as you wanted to spend on air rifles. Pre-charged pneumatic air rifles can be in the order of $3,000 to $4,000 for an air rifle, and you've got to have scuba tanks and all sorts of good stuff to make them work. This one here is a Replay Magnum by Gammo. I like it, I rate it. They're in, you can get them in 177 or 22 as this one is. It's got a little revolving magazine. You sort of put the pellets in there, you get 10 shots out of it, and it feeds a pellet in every time you cock that firearm. This one it's not a kid's air rifle by any stretch of the imagination. It really is quite a workout to cock this. After a couple of magazines, you're absolutely feeling it. But in terms of knockdown power, these things are sensational. This is a proper hunting air rifle in a Springer. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Would I go to a pre-charged pneumatic? Maybe if I find one for the right sort of money. But personally, I'm quite happy with that. In terms of speedy follow-up shots, obviously everybody knows what this is. Lever actions. They're cool. You get tube magazine ones, or you can get the box magazine ones like your Brownings and things like that. Rimfires or centerfires. This one's in 44 Magnum, so it's a really nice pig gun. They're just a cool thing. You can get them 45-70. You can get them, in 22 Magnum, 22 short. Really, the sky's the limit with lever actions, and plenty of companies are making them today. And you can find some pretty good bargains on your gun shop shelves as well. So, they are what they are. I quite rate this one in particular. I like it. It's a great gun for pigs. Holds 10 in the magazine, and you can always have one up the spout and then pop another one in. Quick to reload as you're sort of chasing pigs around the scrub. Great thing. Nice bit of loophole glass on it, which again, life is very, very short to look through rubbish glass. So if you can spend that little bit extra on decent glass for your firearms, you'll be a lot more happy with your outcome. Other things, sure, we got a cheeky old Remington falling block here. So your falling blocks basically have a 3-position hammer. So down, which is sort of 5 position. Half cock, which is how you load it. You drop this little block out of the way, pop your round in, click her up. And full cock for firing. Pow. They're a great thing. I really rate these little old things. This gun is well over 100 years old, still goes bang. Takes down really nicely. Stick it in a saddlebag or what have you, or your backpack. If you're accurate with it, and you practice with it, at 25 meters, you can hit what you're aiming at. Certainly minute of tin can or minute of rabbit. I haven't shot a rabbit with this yet, but it's certainly on the things to do list for the next few months. Speaking of quirky little single shots, and I love quirky little single shots, and I'll be talking about single shots on my podcast coming up by Rod and Rifle Radio. If you're not subscribed, I don't blame you. It's pretty boring. It's just me chatting away about firearms and fishing and stuff. But if you want to give it a listen and maybe even give it a bit of a 5-star review, that'd be helpful. This is a Bronco. It's a single barrel 22. It looks like a combo gun, but it isn't. It pivots around this top sort of rod here. You've got the barrel on the bottom, which is in 22. Basically, you pop your round in there, click that back around. It's got a little safety here behind the trigger. So obviously, red for bang. So we just pop it away. Got a little peep sight there. You pull this first trigger here back, that cocks it, as well as pulls the locking bar out, allows you to pivot. It's got a little extractor here as well to get out the empty brass. They're an interesting little thing. They were made very cheap. They're obviously cast metal. There's a few stainless parts on it, but they're built for a very specific price, and they're a cheap and cheerful little thing. Whoever had this last, previous owner has put this wooden handle on. They didn't come with a wooden handle. This is sort of like a skeletonized handle. So they were really lightweight, and you'd pop it, they break apart obviously, pop it in your bag, you wouldn't even know you were carrying it. With a box of 22 shells, maybe some rat shot as well. It's just a handy little survival rifle if you're out fishing or fencing or what have you. Just handy to have a gun sometimes. I rate them. I think they're a cool little unique thing. You find these occasionally at gun shops. There's always going to be something interesting lurking in the back corner of a gun shop. Be it something like that Bronco or a Martini. This is a Martini I picked up at a gun show. I was sold it as a 22 Hornet, but tried to put a 22 Hornet in there, and no go. It's actually a 22 Magnum. So it's registered currently as a Category B firearm, but I need to talk to the registry and get it put to Category A. But these are a great little thing. You can find these cheap in Rimfire, in 310 Cadet, 303, all sorts of weird Wildcats and things like that were made on them as well. You'll find these all the time as well. And they're just, if you like single shots, yeah, these are a great little thing to cart around the bush, nice and light, accurate as all get out. Like this thing will just put them into the one hole all day. And again, this cost me, even when we thought it was a centerfire rifle, it didn't cost me very much. So cheap and cheerful little things. I do have a soft spot for second-hand guns. Whenever I go into a gun shop, there's always something there that I sort of feel sorry for and want to take home. Anyway, that's a quick overview of common firearm types and what you're going to find in gun shops. Remember, as I said earlier, there's a million one ways to cycle a firearm, and they're always coming up with new ways and new exciting methods and so forth, because we've had new and exciting gun laws that we have to sort of work within. That said, when it comes to firearms, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. So if you're in doubt of how to use it, ask the person behind the register. There is no shame in asking. He is going to think a lot more of you that you asked that question than if you accidentally discharged a firearm the first time you take it out and put a hole through your car door. Yeah, nobody wants to be that guy. So if in doubt, ask. Anyway, that's about it for today. As again, I encourage you to jump on the podcast, Rod and Rifle Radio. You'll find it there. It's got the Tenterfield Firearms logo on it. Happy times. See you soon.